Jesus said that he is the life. In Holy Week, we confront the reality that the life itself is killed. How can the life be killed? I asked three Christian leaders, what kills life? I trust that their answers will help all of us to protect, celebrate, and spread life.
I am Hope Luckie, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am an ordained elder in full connection in the New England Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church, and I serve in extension ministry as the director of Pastoral Care and the director of Clergy Family Services Southwest with Preachers Aid Society of New England. And I also serve as a spiritual director. That which gives you life is where God is, and that which takes away your life is where God is not. So I heard that question as what in my life what in my life have I removed God? Have I allowed to take away life? The things that aren't life-giving for me are a lot of the same things everyone has: worries, anxieties, anticipating end results that I have no control over, things that eat at me in ways that are not healthy or good, that take away joy, that take away creativity, that take away the opportunity to work with others toward the greater good. And I find that there are communities where if people are not allowed to be their authentic, imperfect human selves, that takes away life too. If we're all trying to be the same person, or cookie cutter versions of one another, then we've lost a bit of the uniqueness of each of God's creation. I think there are systemic injustices that rise up. Power that wants to maintain power, privilege that can't see beyond its own privilege. That those are ways in which life is taken. So personally, I've been on the forefront of experiences as like maybe the first female pastor of sexism in our system, in our congregational life. People who really just wanted a man to be their pastor, their preacher, their minister. I've been told by many people, I just don't think I can have a woman as my minister. And the kind of the constant struggle against, well, I can't be who I'm not, right? This is who I am. This is how I show up. This is where God has called me. And trying to find a way into life in something that says, no, you're not for me. You're not for us. We're not going to let you. And I don't think that it's just sexism or just the church, right? There are systemic injustices across the board. There's racism and sexism, and there is ideas of classism. What's pretty consistently, at least in the area where I am, kind of a classist system around education and uneducation. Do you have a college degree or a graduate degree, or are you a technical person? Do you have a vo-tech interest or a hobby? I had someone in our staff parish relations committee say to me that my children, who were very young at the time I was serving this particular church, had to be my number one priority, and that the congregation understood that they were willing to go there with me. And I said, well, my children are a blessing, but ministry was my vocation, right? So not sticking me in a box where I could only be mom, right? But that there's more to life, more to all of us than just one role or one facet. And I guarantee that they never said that to any of the other ministers that served that congregation. With a congregation that was very anxious everybody was really anxious, right? About being on lockdown and how to do ministry and all of that. And there were some not very kind things that were happening in the anxiety of the day. And I was sitting on my porch praying, and I had this overwhelming sense that God loves me just as I am, that I don't have to be super pastor or super parent or the best homeschooler ever, that God just loves me, just loves. And it was that sense of ultimate divine unconditional love that helped me step back and see that my life, I felt like I was dying, that things were being removed from me that brought joy, that it was completely out of my control, that everything I tried and everything that I desired, I couldn't do. I seemed to fail. It was not good. It was not life-giving. There were some circumstances in the congregational mix where I was being gaslit. I mean, it was just not healthy. And that sense of God's love allowed me to say, I don't have to be bullied. I don't have to do this. I can take a moment. I can rest in God's love. I can let this go. And if we want to equate letting things go as dying, I can die to this and rise to something else. Because fundamentally, my theology is steeped in death and resurrection. Death is only part of the story. It's not the end of the story. We have to let things go. We have to let them die so that new life, new things, new ideas, new creations can be born. Well, I didn't mention that I was also surrounded by friends and family who loved me too. Being Methodist and enjoying and appreciating Wesley, Wesley taught that salvation doesn't occur individually. It's not my individual right? Salvation is worked out in community. So I think if people are feeling that way, I would say find community, be with people where you can be who you are, where you can say, I'm grieving, I hate this, I'm dying, help me. And allow them to support you and love you. And I do believe that we see and experience God in one another. So allowing family, friends, community to be with you in your darkest moment, to know you're not alone, is a great help and a great gift. It's not, individually sitting on my porch praying, but it is itself a prayer. There's a wonderful creed from the United Church of Canada that ends, in life, in death, in life beyond death, we are not alone. Thanks be to God. And it's that sense of whether I'm thriving, whether I'm dying, no matter what, I am not alone. It's wonderful to have a spiritual director. It's even better to have a therapist too. It's nice to have a community of people are praying for you and are checking in on you and who aren't judging you or telling you that this is how you need to be in order to be acceptable, but just love you as is. Sometimes life can feel so lonely that you don't think you have any of those, but you could also form that, reach out yourself. You can try, may not work, but chances are you have a person, at least one, maybe two, who will support you on that journey as you build community and as you connect. It may be anonymous too. There are lots of communities. I am a part of a Facebook group. I don't know anybody on there, but I pray with them every single day. And they don't know me, but I take the prayers and I lift them up. Institutional church is a human and fallible institution. And I think that church can be found anywhere and with any people. that experience of grace and of love doesn't have to be in kind of traditional church building, traditional church community. There are some really wonderful alternative communities of faith that are sprouting up, dinner church, pizza church, go into your local, well, when you can, outside of the pandemic, cafe, and sitting with somebody and talking about scripture or praying together. I mean, they're just dynamic ways that don't have to be singularized in liturgy or structure. Building is what I mean by structure. So I don't think that the traditional ways are necessarily the only ways. And I know I have some friends who like to curl, and their curling community is church for them. It's the people they trust, it's the people they pray for, it's the people they support and encourage. In terms of the United Methodist Church, I do feel like we're in this Holy Saturday moment. I think there is death. We're certain about that, right? And now we're in this place where we don't know. Will there be life? Will there be different life? Will there not be life? So that place is very tender. And personally, because I do have hope, I think that there will be life, but I also think it will be different life. And I actually think that what's occurring globally, the multiple pandemics, right? Virus, injustice, racism, the world at war. I mean, like all of these things that we can't breathe without death, that everything is changing. Things are coming to light that we don't want to be at light. And wow. But I've also think that in that darkness, in the death, there are these seeds of hope that are planted. And St. Augustine said, hope has two beautiful daughters, and their names are anger and courage. Anger at the way things are, and courage to see that they do not remain as they are. Well, I do think my parents named me Hope for a reason. And I think I live into that. So I'm constantly challenging, constantly looking for more, trying to rise up and be my best self. And so I think part of this, all of these challenges and changes and conflict, I see in them potential and opportunity. And part of that is because I'm not afraid of the challenge. And I'm not afraid to say, well, this is real. So based on reality, not my aspirational hopes or goals or dreams or what, but based on this, what can be? And that's the hopeful question, right? That's what can be born. When I was in junior high, I read this book called Cages of Glass, Flowers of Time. It's about a kind of a middle school age girl who lives through just a terrible family situation and winds up on her own. And at the end, she's writing in a diary, and she's been out in the woods, and she says to her diary, I saw some seeds planted in dead wood begin to take root and grow. And I feel like that's part of this opportunity we have, is to let it die and yet to hope. We can't be blind to what's real. And if we see what's real and love it, there are amazing things that can happen.